In this video, what I am going to do is I will play some games in lichess and I will tell the reason behind the moves and tell you what kinds of thing made me to play that move. E4, knight f3, developing the pieces. Okay, d6, then we can attack the center by d4. We take with the knight. Knight is very strong on d4, central square. He also developing. Let's pin his knight so he can't take my pawn on e4. Now he can take our pawn on e4, so we should be little careful. So we can exchange the knight and play knight c3. So we gain a tempo and we could develop a piece. He castles king side. We should also keep our king safe. So we have to develop as fast as possible our pieces. Bishop c4, trying to castle the king side, or we can castle queen side and try to attack his king side. Castle opposite side and attack his king. That's a nice strategy. Who is attacking the center? Where to go with knight? Knight b3, then it is a passive piece on b3 because it can't go to any other good squares. But f3, it's controlling some important central squares like e5 and d4 if he goes to f3. Now he can take my knight, so he can double my pawns, and double pawns are very weakness. He should have taken my knight, but he didn't. Now I can go to d5 with my knight and attack his bishop and try to create weaknesses. He takes my pawn. The pawn on b2 was not a good pawn. We gain a tempo by developing the rook. And he has to go back with his bishop. And our rook becomes active. Active pieces compensate material. You have to remember this point. Now we can play c3 and make his bishop passive and knight also. That's a nice move. And our center is a little strong than comparing to him. He plays b6. We have to look ideas behind the opponent's move every time. b6, it may be to play bishop b7, or is simply pushing pawns. It should be to play bishop b7. So can we prevent it? No, we can't prevent it. So we can go on our development by castling. We are a pawn down. We can maybe prevent by bishop b5, bishop b7. Then we can take his knight, bishop takes, but his bishop becomes active. So that's not a good idea. Another idea would be queen a5, then also bishop b5, then also bishop b7, then bishop b5, pressuring the knight, queen d7, queen f. Okay, let's try that. He may play bishop e6, but now he can't play because his knight is under attack. Oh, he plays knight a5. And we can play bishop to b5, and our bishop is good on that square. Yes. And he can't bring his rook to e8 or bishop to d7. He may bring his bishop to b7. Then what about his knight? The knight is very passive. It's not participating in the game actually. But now bishop e6 possible. Yeah, he played bishop e6. He want to exchange my knight, and after bishop d5, e d5, he want to take my pawn on c3. We should not let this happen. So we can play c4, maybe c4, or we can take his bishop. We can take his bishop, he takes the pawn, then we can push c4 and our center is good. If he takes with the bishop, we can take with the e pawn, and our when e pawn goes to d pawn, the d pawn becomes a passed pawn, and e5 may become a weak pawn after castling and bringing our rook to e1. And his knight is very passive. We are a pawn down, but we have active pieces. Queen on a4 and bishop on b5 are very good. And his pieces, knight on a5 is very bad. And our rook on b1 is not so bad. We can castle and bring our rook to d1 or e1. We can bring the rook to d1 and try to push the passed pawn and create weaknesses in his position. Oh, he plays queen c8. What's his idea? He may want to bring his queen to f5. If he brings his queen to f5, then what can he do from there? Nothing to do from there. So queen f5 is not a good idea for him. Maybe he want to play rook d8 or knight b7 maybe. We can play rook d1 and push the passed pawn, or we can push the passed pawn now. And we push the passed pawn to d7. Central passed pawns are very good to have in middle games. Central passed pawns. Rook should be behind the passed pawns. If we are trying to stop the passed pawn or trying to protect the passed pawn, rook should be behind the passed pawn. So next move we can bring our f rook to d1 and push the d passed pawn. We are a pawn down now also, but our pieces are active. He brings his queen to g4. I don't know what his idea is. He may want to bring his queen to d4, centralize his queen. That's a good idea. Okay, let me stop the idea. We can push d7 now. After queen d4, we can play rook d1, or first rook d1, then push d7. Yes, first rook d1, first prevent his idea, then continue on our idea. It is better. He plays rook d8. We can play d7. Now he may play knight. The passed pawn must be blocked by. In middle game, passed pawn must be blocked by knight. So he's trying that. We should not let him do that. So we can attack his knight. And when we can attack his knight. Knight can't go to d6. if he brings his knight to a5, then why? He brings his knight to d6. Then I can take. That's all. He played a blunder probably. He has no good moves. So he played a blunder. Okay, no problem. I said no. Passed pawns are very strong. We sacrificed a pawn to gain a passed pawn. What should we do? Should I double my rooks on the d file or take the pawn on? Oh, my rook is under attack. So double my rooks is good so that queen can't take either the rook. So that is defending, the two rooks are defending each other. And the a7 pawn is hanging. His pieces are all passive. See, the rook on d8. It has no good squares to move. Rook on f8. Where can it move? Very bad. Rook comes to f7. Then bishop d5. He loses his rook. We also have some ideas like bishop d5 check, king moves to h8, but then bishop e6. Improving our bishop. It's called maneuvering or improving pieces. Bishop d5, check, king moves to h8, then bishop e6, attacking the queen, and we improved piece, and queen has much space to go, then queen can go to c6, like that, and our back rank has no weakness because rooks are there protecting each other. First of all, we have to look for the king safety, then piece activity, like which piece is improved, are our pieces good or they are bad, like that. My two rooks are very active, my queen is active, bishop is active, his queen is active, but it is not doing any good jobs. He has no other pieces to help, so it is bad. Next move, I can take on a7 and then b6 and roll my a passed pawn. That is outside passed pawn. Outside passed pawns are very strong in endgames. It is a weapon to use in endgames. He's not playing. He has no good moves. That's why. When you continuously play good moves, automatically your opponent plays a blunder. Analyze before every move. See idea behind your opponent's move. Give at least 1 minute to think about your opponent's idea. Now he has no good moves, so I am thinking about my ideas. He can only move his pieces here and there like king h8, king g8, or maybe rook b7. But my passed pawn I will push, so that's a problem. So here he can't move his d8 rook and f8 rook. He can maybe move his king, but if king h8, then no. I have check on bishop d5 and king goes to h8 and bishop goes to e6 and his moves are reducing and he has no good moves, then he will play a bad move and our advantage increases. That's how we have to play. Prevent opponent's idea, improve our pieces, prevent opponent's idea, improve our pieces, and our advantages increases, and we can win easily. If we prevent opponent's idea, automatically our advantage increases. He's not playing. He's wasting time. Play accurately. Fast is not important. You should play accurately. Try to avoid blunders. Play slowly. Think before each move. Improve your pieces. Attack opponent's weakness. Try to create second weakness by pushing pawns on one side of the board, either the king side or queen side. You should create at least two weaknesses to win. He resigns. Okay, I am stopping the video. See you on the next game. Okay, bye. Please subscribe. Please like the video.